Taylor and I both went to James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and we met in 2007. I mean, we always knew we wanted kids, but we got married fairly young. We were in our early-ish 20s, and I was kind of like, we have plenty of time, it's fine. And Taylor actually said to me at one point, it might not be as easy as you think it is. We started trying to build our family in 2016 and tried for a few months, and nothing was happening. And so I started doing a little bit of research and read that at my age, you should try for a year before you worry. So we tried for a year, and then at the end of that year, I was like, okay, something's not right. And so I had my annual with my OB and just kind of mentioned to her, this is really frustrating, what's happening. And so she immediately recommended the Fertility Center of San Antonio and sent both Taylor and I to Dr. Retzloff to have some testing done.
Mandy and Taylor presented to me about 3 or 4 years ago, and really I thought represented many couples who kind of experienced those early emotional letdowns and challenges of couples who are thinking this is the time I want to start my family, so let's start it. And, like many things in our lives, we feel we have pretty much the control over that. We go through the right motions and all the things should then just naturally happen. And unfortunately for them, it didn't happen. Hi, I'm Dr. Retzloff. I've been practicing in reproductive endocrinology, specifically the field of infertility, now for about 20 years. When I very first met them, you could really just see the struggle that they were facing, struggles they were experiencing, and really just looking for answers.
Everybody who's been married for years who doesn't have children, somebody has inevitably asked you, when are you having babies? What's taking you so long? Why are you waiting? And that is, I obviously got that a lot. And for some people, I said, I used it as an opportunity to educate them on, well, it's not as easy for some people as it might have been for you. In 2017, when we went to the Fertility Center of San Antonio, we started the process of, the tests and then the surgery. And then we did 3 IUIs, which we were really hopeful that would lead to success. And unfortunately, it did not. And so at that point, Dr. Retzloff sat down with us and just said, talk to us through all the logistics and the statistics of after 3 and your chances. And he really felt like IVF might be the right option for us.
We've had a lot of hope and every step along the way, and it hadn't come through, and we've kind of gotten to the end of the line. And so there was a reality, I think, that we had to kind of face ourselves and start preparing ourselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that, what if, we might be at the end of that journey right now.
Mandy and Taylor, they went through 3 IUI cycles, none of which were successful, although she responded well. Everything seemed to go as we wanted it to go, but there was some other reason that was prohibiting them from conceiving.
There was a nurse at the time who, me and her had just bonded so much throughout our journey. She got word that I was in this specific room by myself and the news that I'd just gotten. And she comes in and just lays her body on top of me and just gives me the biggest hug. And she stayed there with me the rest of the appointment and held my hand.
Mandy and Taylor went on to have a second cycle, which was a frozen embryo transfer that resulted in a positive test and ultimately birth of a beautiful boy.
I think Dr. Retzloff was personally invested in us being successful with our pregnancy, and it did not feel like it didn't feel like a service was being performed.
From the time you walk in the door at the Fertility Center of San Antonio, the receptionist, by a couple visits, she knew my name, she greeted me by name. Everybody there, just from start to finish, built that relationship with you, and I think that's what we loved most about them. Infertility is such a hard process to go through, and that small gesture of building the relationship with their patients and making you feel like a human and not just a number is really what sets them apart.